We are going to do a roll call to establish quorum. Um, I'll call your names. Please just respond by present. Stephen Mitchell,
Present.
Akira Barclay, Dr. Barron, Charles Barron, Joyce Brown. Oh,
Present.
Dr. Davis, virtual. Richard Flowers,
Present.
Eugene Lewis, Jennifer Lewis, Dr. Tamara Hope Poe, Reginald Spears,
Present.
Principal Spicer, and then we have a vacant seat. So in order to establish quorum, we need at least 7 folks in person. We have that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In person. Did I count 8? No? Who did I
7.
miss? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't count Miss Brown, Mr. Mitchell, Miss Barclay. Okay,
Clearly
never
it's
mind.
7.
Just kidding. Okay, 7 in person. Thank you so much. We have 3 members who need to participate virtually.
I move that we allow the 3 members to participate virtually.
Motion passes.
No,
The motion has been properly made and seconded. Any discussion? There is no discussion. I call the vote. All those in favor of the motion to allow virtual participation, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 yeses. Any noes? Any abstentions? Motion passes. We will allow virtual participation by Dr. Davis, Ms. Brown, and then Mr. Lewis will be transitioning to virtual. Thank you all for your participation. Okay. Next order of business. Would there like to be a temporary chairperson? If not, I can continue in this capacity. Okay, I'll continue as the temporary chairperson. Ms. Barclay, will you agree to be our temporary secretary?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Barclay has agreed to be our temporary secretary. Can we call for an approval of the agenda?
I move that the agenda be approved as written.
Thank you, Mr. Spears and Mr. Flowers. The motion has been made and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'd like to call a motion for a vote. All those in favor to approve the agenda, please raise your hand by saying yes, or if you are virtual, please come on mic and say yes.
Yes.
7, 8. Okay. Any noes? Any abstentions? Great. Our agenda is approved. All right. So now at this point, we would like to take nominations to select our chairperson. Is there anyone who would like to do a nomination?
I'd like to nominate Stephen Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell, do you accept?
We got to vote, but yes.
Okay. So Mr. Mitchell accepts the nomination. Are there any other nominations for chair? Okay. There are no nominations, so Mr. Mitchell is our only nomination. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
Okay. Mr. Spears is making the motion to select Mr. Mitchell as our chairperson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Let's call. The motion has been properly brought and seconded. Is there any discussion? All right, I'd like to call the vote. All those in favor of Mr. Mitchell continuing as our LSC chairperson, please raise your hand or come on mic to say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes with 9 yeses. Are there any noes? Any abstentions? Great. I am now going to turn it over to Mr. Mitchell as our chairperson of our 2024 LSC.
Thank you, and thank you all for the nomination and selection. Next, we'd like to move into nominations for secretary. Are there any nominations for secretary?
I'd like to,
Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Jennifer Lewis.
Second. All right, the motion has been made and second. Any discussion? Oh, yeah. Do you accept the nomination? She's indicated that she does.
Yes, I do accept the nomination.
All right, great. All right, so she accepts the nomination. The motion's been made and second. She's accepted. We'll call the vote. All those in favor of Ms. Lewis being the secretary, vote by raising your hand or coming on mic saying yes.
Aye, yes.
Okay. Mr. Lewis, are you saying yes? Thank you.
Any no's? Any abstentions? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll move on to our vice chair. I'd like to move that Kira Barclay be nominated as vice chair.
Second.
Ms. Barclay, do you accept the nomination? She has accepted the nomination. So we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
So actually, I went back and I reviewed the manual, and actually I reached out to Marcus. I did not hear back from him. The vice chair and the treasurer position really did not have to change unless we made the change in our bylaws that the term would only be 1 year. Did we make that change?
We did not establish any bylaws. So it looks like it's going to stay the same anyway. So if you're suggesting that we don't have to vote on that, I'm okay. If Ms. Barclay wants to continue in that capacity, I'll defer to the chair. So we can not vote if it's not necessary. How do you want to move, chair?
That's why I haven't reviewed the rules for that position, but just to wear belt and suspenders, I would say we go ahead and vote. That way, if she stays, she stays. If we vote, either way, it'll work.
Okay. Sounds
Right. And so there's a motion on the floor, and unless the person has put the motion on the floor rescinds it, you need to vote with her.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys heard that, but Mr. Flowers indicated that there was a motion on the floor, so we would have to vote regardless, unless the person wanted to rescind the motion. So I think we'll go ahead and call the vote unless there's any more discussion regarding the vice chair. All right, there.
Okay, so we didn't have bylaws, so you're just saying you want to just go ahead and have a vote for those positions?
yes. Yes, and because of that rule, I think that that's important to put in the bylaws. If we want that position to just be a 2-year term, so when we do the organizational meeting, we probably can just choose our chair again. Does that satisfy your concern?
What do you mean choose our chair?
So I know that we had a discussion via email regarding whether we have to go through this formality every year. And so my response was that based on the guidance from the LSC that I got, we are supposed to have this organizational meeting, and this is the agenda that they provided. So I encouraged you to look at the guide to see if there was other guidance that was actually in the guide. And so based on your research, what I'm hearing is that we may have to reelect the chair, but the vice chair seems to be exempt from that. Because that knowledge was not clear before the motion was made, there is a motion on the floor. So the parliamentarian is saying because there is a motion and we're in discussion of the motion, unless the person who did the motion wants to rescind it, we cannot vote. But because we're already in discussion for an approved motion or a seconded motion, we do have to complete the vote. So so Mr. Mitchell, as the chair, has decided that he wants to continue the vote. And so I am just making a note for our records that when we establish our bylaws, we can establish that the vice chair will be a 2-year term instead of a 1-year term. So when we do our next organization after the election, we know that whomever is elected for the first year will be the second year vice chair. Does that make sense? What's happening?
Right, yeah, and it's just the vice chair and the treasurer, but the secretary and the chair are the annual. You have to elect them annual.
Got it. Thank you so much for that clarification. Ms. Lewis, did you get that in the notes? Okay, but did you get it? Okay. All right, we got it. Duly noted. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Sorry, I didn't know you were starting today or not. I'm sorry.
All right, is there any more? right.
Ms. Lewis said she's on the clock. Ms. Barclay has it. Thank you, Ms. Brown.
All right, is there any more discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of Ms. Barclay being the vice chair, vote by raising your hand or saying aye if you're remote.
Aye.
Perfect.
Got
Gotcha.
it. Thank you.
All right, nominations for the Freedom of Information OMA officers.
I'd like to nominate Joyce Brown.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and properly second. Ms. Brown, do you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay, great. She accepts the nomination. Is there any discussion regarding the nomination? There being none, all those in favor of Ms. Brown being the Freedom of Information, vote by raising your hand. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that passes.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we want to. We did secretary, we did vice chair. So now we need to set our regular meeting schedule. Regarding that, how did last year's schedule work for everybody?
It worked fine. The second, those who are joining us virtually, did you all have any concerns with the second Wednesday at 5:30?
No problem.
Okay.
No.
So
I'd like to make
I don't think we
okay.
need to do it. Do we need to move for this? Well, we can just to wear belt suspenders.
Mr. Flowers, would you like to?
I move that our meetings stay scheduled for the second Wednesday of the month at 5:30.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Awesome. The motion has been made in second. Any discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of the meetings being the second Wednesday at 5:30, vote by raising your hand or coming on mic saying aye.
Aye.
Perfect. So the meetings will be the second Wednesday at 5:30. The bylaws, we don't have any. If we want to establish some, we can get a committee together to do that. I think we've been fine without it, but if somebody wishes to do that.
We have sample bylaws that we have to review that the committee from last year has in hand. So I would like to move that Mr. Flowers chairs the bylaw committee.
Second. The motion's been made and second. Mr. Flowers has indicated that he accepts to chair the bylaws committee. Any discussion regarding this? There is some? Oh. All right, great. There being none, all those in favor of Mr. Flowers chairing the bylaws committee, vote by raising your hand or saying aye. If you're
Aye.
awesome. Congratulations, Mr. Flowers. All right, rules of order for the LSC. Anybody have any point or anything they'd like to make with that? Mr. Flowers?
Rules of order.
Yeah, I mean, just the same thing we've been doing, essentially.
I'd like to move that. Were you the parliamentarian?
Yes.
I'd like to move that Mr. Flowers remain the parliamentarian.
Second.
I accept.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. Mr. Flowers has accepted to be the parliamentarian. Any discussion regarding this? There being none, all those in favor, vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Come off mic and say aye.
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 Who
Awesome.
seconded that?
Congratulations, Dwayne, I mean myself. Mr. Flowers will be the parliamentarian. The next date of our first meeting will be August what?
9.
Nice.
Okay, August 9th at 5:30 p.m. Is there any public participation?
Not this time.
We
None
may
here
have-
in person.
You're gonna
All
be
right.
in Martha's Vineyard.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right. The motion made and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of adjournment, raise your hand or say aye.
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 Great. So now we're going to move on to the motion is adjourned. I mean, the meeting is adjourned, but we're going to move on to our regular special LSC. I should say, but our special LSC meeting to handle a couple of things on the agenda. So
Okay.
first meeting is concluded.
So those who are joining virtually, we are going to hop over to the second link.
We don't have to.
Oh, we don't have to?
If
Okay.
everybody's there.
Okay.
Do you want me to start? Sure.
Okay. All right. So we are going to,
Yes.
I'm going to transition documents so I can have that special. All right. Those who are joining us virtually, Mrs. Lewis is officially taking on her role as secretary. And so,
Real quick. My concern, can you put on mute? real quick?
yes, on mute.
So guys, if we go into a new meeting, we don't have quorum. Because we don't, you know,
You know, okay.
I heard that.
All right, we're ready, y'all. We are ready.
all right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We've already done a roll call to establish quorum. We'll move right into the approval of this special meeting agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right, the motion has been made and properly second to approve the special meeting agenda. Any discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of approving the special meeting agenda, vote by raising your hand or coming on off mute and saying aye.
Aye.
All right, great. So now we'll move right into the budget management.
Okay. I would like to first discuss the approval of the student fees for school year 24. My apologies. I will get a copy of this up so that you all can see them. And then I'll see if I can get some copies brought upstairs. Those who are joining us virtually, I will share a copy with you. Those who are here, I'm going to share it electronically with you all as well. So you should be able to pull it up on your devices. Done. All right, those on the call, here is the link if you would like to see it. I also will share my screen with you all. so that you can see it as well if you are driving or not in a place where you can open a separate link. And then those who are here with me, I am sending that to the email that you received the calendar invite for.
Can I just ask one thing though, before you move on?
Yes.
Did we adopt the minutes from the prior meeting yet? Do we have it for adoption?
It's a special.
This is a special meeting. This is not a regular meeting, so we won't adopt the minutes from the next meeting until August.
Okay.
Okay. Uh-oh. Hold on one second. Sorry about that.
Richard, do you use Flowers Fam most or Richard Flower 77?
I was about to say, I'm about to say
You
it
send to-
depends.
right, You send it to, that Flowers family, that's the one we share as a family, so you just send it to the original one.
Glad you told me that.
That would not be a good situation. Okay, if you all refresh, you should be able to have the fees. So in front of you, our student fees remain the same, $250 per year. If you have one student, if you have more than one student enrolled, it is $400 for a family. I am not going to read each line for you. I would like for you to review the allocations, ask any questions that you may have, and then go from there. I am very, very proud to announce that when we sent out the fees via Aspen, from the time we talked about it was maybe April, May, we received an additional $17,000 in student fees. So we will be utilizing Aspen again. I think that it was a great way to remind families that they did have a balance on their accounts. And it's also a way that we can track who has paid and who has not. And then also track like the actual revenue that we get from student fees. So I do want to share that that was very successful last school year. And so that would be my intention this school year if we agree to assess a student fee again this year. Are there questions on the allocations?
I do. Just out of curiosity, do you know how our fees square with other schools like classical schools?
I don't know specifically, but I can do a quick Google search. I believe at Skinner North when I was there, our student fee was around this amount, but let's see. I'm almost sure it's the same.
And will this be like the field trip too, or will
You'll
still
have to look at
supplement that?
you'll have to look at the breakdown. Actually for grades kindergarten through 7th at Skinner North, it is a $200, and they separated $150 for school stuff and then $50 for field trips. 8th grade fees are $250, and they don't.
And did you just send it?
I did.
Because I see this, but where is it? I see the meeting link.
Okay, no worries. I'll share it again with you. It's not a problem. Okay, sharing again. But we are about $50 off from Skinner North. And I do want to share that Skinner North also has 6 figures in their bank account just from donations and their fundraisers. So they have significantly more money in their reserves from their like Friends of organization, in addition to a student fee. So our Friends of organization, we are ambitious and we're growing. I don't think that we've quite made it to 6 figures as of yet. So I would say that's one comparison. I probably could do another quick Google search to see what another selective enrollment school charges. While I'm doing that research, were there any other questions?
Do we have numbers on how many people don't comply?
I won't have that this year. I'll probably have that next year. But I can tell you that I have received less than 5 requests for fee waivers.
Well, not necessarily a fee waiver.
Who pays?
I'm just saying people.
I would say if I had to guess, I would say about 40% of people paid. That number probably got closer to the 40% mark when I started sending out the student accounts. I think that people know it's a student fee, forget about the student fee. It's not really promoted, but some feedback from the LSC, which is why I figured out how to send it through Aspen. We'll have it publicized. We'll have it payable August 1st. It'll be prominent at the back to school event, working with Mr. Lewis to make sure everyone has access through parent portal. But I don't have that. I won't have that information until later this year. So I could give that information like in September, October. But as of historical data, I don't have it because we were using ePay. And through ePay, I'm only able to track it through the person who paid, not the student. And that can be challenging if names don't match. Grandparents pay the fees.
And so 40%, and there's not a repercussion if they don't, correct?
Not really.
So, but so 60% do not. So if a student's parents or whatever does not pay the fee, are they able to participate in sports? Are they able to do the special events that we have that cost money?
They are. But yeah, they are because it's a public school. McDay's fees are $150 per child, $100 per additional sibling. So
I missed that.
we got you. No, we heard you. We heard you. Miss Lewis, there was another question.
Thinking about the incoming kindergartners, can we get them set up in Aspen?
We've
during-
Yes, that is the plan. Yes, so during kindergarten roundup, we are doing that. What we did for the kindergartners new this year, or any new student, was Mr. Lewis had them fill out a form to see if they had a CPS sibling. If they had a CPS sibling, he wanted to know what their contact information was, what other school, so that we could prevent starting duplicate accounts and then having to merge. So yes, we are learning the work by doing the work, and we are evolving in excellence. We're right with you, Miss Lewis. Not yet. Mm-mm.
So is there a way we can enforce either paying or getting a waiver? Is there anything we could do?
No.
It's a public school.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
So
can't
Like,
because
force them.
public school, it's your
I mean, I
right
hear people say that, but where's a rule that says that?
Because every child has the right to attend the public school and everything that's.
They have a right to a free, appropriate public
Can
education.
you all show me where that is written?
It's the law. It's called FATE. I'll look it up for you.
I don't have and the reason I asked is because Erica worked in finance, and so she always talked about you can't.
Yeah, that doesn't say what you guys are saying.
But I don't think I think that I could say that, but I don't think that the district would support me in collection. So we can enforce it. I mean, even at the high school level, like they say that you can't graduate and participate in certain activities, but I think that if a parent really wanted to advocate and push against it, I don't think the district would support me.
I have on good authority that people have said that they're not paying public school, they're not paying it, and the district has said
You don't have to.
you don't have to.
Yeah, I just like to see that.
The only thing on the high school level is like if you lose a book, but even then, like you are assigned a book, schools, sometimes the records are terrible. They don't know that you lost the book. You know, I mean, back in the day, you know, that's how people get stolen, because somebody would steal your book and then turn it in saying they turned in your book. Like it would have to be like a misappropriation of a thing you got. Even if you lost your laptop, we got an assigned laptop and you lost it. Well, if a family filed a police report and say it was stolen, then you're not responsible for it. So
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
hear
this-
all that. I just would like to just see it in writing. If y'all know,
Well,
Yeah.
this motion is just on the approval of the minutes, but we can definitely explore and maybe reach out to some other folks around enforcement. Yes, for fees. Mr. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the chair anymore.
oh, Mr. Flowers.
I move that we accept the student fees as proposed, 250 for individual students, 400 for multiples.
Second.
Is it 400 for multiples or just two?
Is any more than any
Two- oh,
additional?
2 or more, okay.
Yes, 2 or more.
All right, great. Motion been made and properly second. Any discussion?
We've already had
All
it.
right, there being none, all those in favor of the student fees as stated, vote by raising your hand or coming off mic saying aye.
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 Any noes? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes.
All right, the next motion or the next motion that I'd like to make, I'd like to make I move that I am allowed to make budget transfers and check disbursements up to $5,000 without pre-approval. Of course, this would come before the LSC with any of my financial reports. It would be, of course, only with CPS vendors or through our allocated budget. But at the end of last year, we ran into so many pre-approvals at the end when it was budget spend down because I didn't have that autonomy because of how detailed our budget is and which each line allocation. This liberty would enable me to expedite the procurement process, not circumvent the oversight and approval process of the LSC.
All right, the motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion?
Oh, that's the internal accounts management system.
So
Checks.
So you'll come to us after it's been done saying, this is what I did.
Worst case scenario, this doesn't happen all the time. This is not a regular practice. But like, for instance, when we had the extra money and Mr. Spears wanted the risers. So I had to come to the LSC, ask for the budget transfer before we could order the risers, which delays the procurement process. So sometimes because we only meet once a month, after we meet, these things come up. So it gives me an opportunity to switch the budget line to get whatever the item is.
So I have a question right now. The limit is set at how much?
There is no limit right now. So I'm asking for a limit. In order to move $1, I have to ask you all.
So for example, could you move 3,000 from one line to one category, another 3,000 to that same category and purchase something for 6,000?
I personally would not do that because I feel like that's circumventing like what we're talking about here. Like if I needed $6,000, that would be something I would have to just ask for.
Okay, so you're saying transfers and or purchases 5,000 and under.
Well, I'm not purchases because I don't necessarily need approval for the purchase if the money is allocated on the budget line. What I am saying is if I have to transfer money from the supply office line to the supply math line, I have to come to you all and say, I need to transfer money from the office supply line to the math supply line.
Got it, but I'm just worried, like, not worried, but let's say you did it 10 lines, $4,900 a piece. That's $50,000 that you're transferring. Would that be permissible under this?
If it's going to the same budget line but from different lines, I'm trying to think of like when I don't think so. I think that if I need $50,000, I need to come to the LSC and ask because that's a big
I think
transfer.
the question is, is this a total amount of the transfer money, or is this a one-time transfer? So if you do a one-time transfer, you can do as many one-time transfers as you want from line to line, as long as it's under $5,000.
Yes.
Or is this a total between LSC meetings of $5,000 of worth of transfer?
No, the first thing that you
Okay.
said.
But see, that's a big difference. The first thing, not that you would do anything, but that's like, I'm just wondering, legally, can we give you that authority? Because technically you could transfer $100,000 without coming to the LSC.
So are you recommending that the motion be amended to give a maximum dollar amount?
I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out, and if we can, like, I don't know that we even have the authority to do it. I can see, like, I know you don't want to have to come for every little thing, but in the first scenario, you could go from this line 3,000, this line 3,000, this line 3,000, and totally have $50,000.
When we moved the money at the end in the last meeting, do you remember the aggregate number?
It was 100,000+ something.
And
And,
nothing was over 5,000.
And nothing was over 5,000. Yeah.
and
You know what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I hear what you're saying, but I just think there needs to be a little bit more structure to the process, and it needs to be written and clearly defined. So, I hear what Stephen's saying exactly, or better yet, I mean.
So I'll share where this is coming from. So I am on like a group with like a multiple principals. Let me see, about to give you all an idea. I don't know, maybe 10, 15 principals. So one principal reached out and said that so the question was, can the check writing limit be increased without LSC approval or a special vote? What are the budget transfer requirements? Is there a special vote that can be done to change them? So Dr. Magnuson from Skinner North said she sent the form, so I can bring that up and share that with you all. She said, I sent you the forms I used to ask for approval for allowances of transfers and check writing up to 5,000. Typically, I think the limit is 1,000. The LSCs I have had have been pretty understanding of this, as it helps the speed we can purchase needed items. I have done the approvals at the organizational meeting or the budget meeting in the past years, depending on timing. I share a transfer report. I sent you an example. I also share the fund summary and fund summary non-staff sheets, which you all already get, and the internal accounts management system balance sheet each month, which you all get. I share them with the LSC, but screenshots are included in her LSC report. So that's where this is coming from.
I think it sounds to me like this should be a cap, whatever dollar amount we want to make, it should be a cap between LSC meetings. So you can transfer as much up to that money into any budget line, because if you're spending more than, or having to transfer more than $6,000, then it should be, or 5,000, whatever we want to say, it should be brought to the LSC, whatever that amount is, or however many transfers that is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that it should be a cap on the amount of money that is transferred, not the number of transfers.
But that won't help her though.
But that's why I'm saying we can change if we wanted to amend it.
I would say you suggest that.
I was going to agree with you that, and this would be, trying to get you to amend the motion.
Yep.
And when we go back to that, which is to say, transactions up to $5,000 with a cap of $20,000. A cap of $20,000.
I was gonna say aggregate of 50K,
Out of transactions.
which allows you 10 budget transfers if you need to make them. Which, I mean,
Up to $5,000.
up to, so the same $5,000 cap of transfer, but the
Total.
aggregate in between meetings cannot exceed $50,000. Because I mean, we had 100,000+ at the last meeting. There was 40, 50 of them. So if you need to do 40, 50 of them and the aggregate numbers under 50,000, so be it. But if it's going to exceed 50,000, then it needs to wait. You need to figure out which ones you can hold off on until we have another
Or
meeting.
call a special meeting.
Right.
What are you anticipating us what's needed to purchase, it would have to happen before the next LSC meeting.
It's not necessarily the anticipation. I just think that our needs shift from budget season in April to when school actually starts in August. And so something I may anticipate. So for example, last year, I had allocated funds for us to pay for our tech on site a day. But late into the summer before school started, CPS said that they were covering the techs for a day. So I had already had money allocated for that contract, but then I didn't need it, so I had to redistribute it to other lines. So it really is not an anticipation. It's just the needs sometimes change between April and then the actual start of the school year.
How long do you have to spend all the money in the lines?
It depends. This year was the longest that we've had since I've been a principal. Typically, we're done spending mid-May. This year, they gave us to, I think, a week or two after school was out.
And do we know if this is allowable? Like, has anybody checked to make sure that this is okay for us to do this?
I mean, I think that it's been
The principals in that thread that Principal Spicer mentioned, this is a common occurrence that is some of it, and this has been a point of contention during our local school council tenure. Some of it's about like exactly what happened at the last meeting, which is we're trying to make like 17 transactions that are less than $1,000 to move money here or there, and that the LFP should know about that, but it keeps Principal Spicer in the school from running. If you have to wait a month to do it or call a meeting in order to make a budget transfer, what I'm going to say is an insignificant amount relative to like large purchases and things that need approval. So this is my understanding, my experience. This is a regular kind of occurrence. Matter of fact, I know local school councils that don't do any of those, but like all the things under a certain amount, they just get reported out. They don't do any approval.
And the other thing that I would like to share is that when we did not have a LSC, and for schools that don't have quorums on their LSCs or functioning LSCs, network chiefs are the approvers for balance transfers that exceed this dollar amount. So I think that could be where the practice is coming from and why it is $5,000, because I was able to transfer funds between budget lines up to $5,000 without having chief approval.
So how do you? Do you need this like before we start school?
I mean, I don't need it now. I just wanted to like set the precedent because, like we are starting to purchase things for the upcoming school year. It is the summer, like today we ran into an issue of almost not having quorum because some people needed to participate virtually. So if there are items that are critical for first day of school that I didn't anticipate, I could find myself in a situation where I need, a balance transfer of more than $5,000 because it's the beginning of the school year and typically it's for a whole school purchase. I think the way that we operated at the end of last year with all the budget transfers at the end, that should prevent things from happening for the most part. But like for instance, yesterday, Ms. Jones was trying to process like a math PO, but because it is digital licenses for the students, non-digital licenses for the teachers, these are paper materials that we'll get, but these are digital things that we'll get. So when Ms. Jones looked at how we allocated our budget, so for professional development, I didn't delineate between on-site professional development and virtual professional development. She was just like, technically, this is two lines. We would have to move money in order to pay for that contract. So it's me or like the way we built the budgets, like as a principal, like I had no idea professional development is virtual now and it's on site now because historically that really hasn't been the thing. But since COVID, that has now become a thing that professional development can be virtual and it can be on site, but it's two different budget lines. So she couldn't open that PO yesterday because everything was in our on site professional development budget line.
I hear what you're saying, but I still think we're My opinion would be that we table this until another meeting and get us that information from your colleagues so that we can review this and chew on it and make a decision. I think it's a good idea, but I'm not comfortable at this point in time not knowing enough. And as you know, the issue that Steve brings up, we want to make sure that we're in compliance. Not saying that we're not in compliance, but I would like to make sure that we're reading the compliance factors that support what you're doing, as well as see something in writing with limitations as to what you do. Because originally when you started out, and I look back at the agenda, I thought you were talking purchases, but you're talking transfers, which are two totally different things. But even with purchases, I kind of feel the same way. So I myself personally would not vote in favor because I would need more information and like to kind of see what that process is going to be, something in writing, so that we know, even if, not saying you're going to go anywhere, but if you're not in that seat, that whoever's coming on will follow that same process, not just that we've had this discussion now and then a motion. You see what I'm saying? I really like to see this process somewhere documented clearly so that we know exactly how it's supposed to roll.
Any more discussion?
Well, are you gonna rescind your motion?
Am I gonna rescind it?
5K50 aggregate.
I'm going to amend it, but I hadn't planned on rescinding it. But I do understand exactly what you're saying, Ms. Brown. And I'm not going to rescind it, but I'm going to amend what my motion is.
Okay. So once
And
you
if-
do that, then we'll have another discussion.
Mhm.
Okay.
I would like to amend my motion as follows. I'm asking for budget transfers and internal account transfers up to $5,000 in an aggregate amount limit of $20,000 without pre-approval from the LSC. No, I messed it up. I didn't say it right.
He was giving you 50.
Okay. That's okay. And that's okay.
I have a motion that I think will, that's why I was like, are you gonna rescind it?
Okay.
I just have a clarifying question.
So it's not
You gotta
seconded.
second the motion.
So let me,
All right, so the motion has been made.
I'm gonna,
Properly
I'll just rescind the motion. I'll rescind the motion.
Okay.
You gotta clarify.
I was just gonna clarify that, so you could move, like, technically up to
If I maxed it out.
$4,000. Okay, for in between each LSC.
Okay, Richard.
I move that Principal Spicer or the principal be allowed to make budget transfers and IAMS transfers up to $5,000 with an aggregate of $25,000 between LSC meetings with this allotment, or that's not right. The right word
I know what you're trying to say.
granting her permission to do it. I'm trying to say it. With the permission to do that expiring on September 12th, which will be 2 LSC meetings from then, allowing us to have time to research it, but at the same time, allowing not to have any issues as we prepare to bring our students back to school if there need to be budget transfers in the interim. So it's giving you 60 days or 2 meetings from now.
So it's just making the motion.
It's making the motion, but it's a time, and then we can revisit with more information and then put it as a permanent. So it's a stopgap to allow.
I think that's reasonable.
Without.
I think that's reasonable. So let me restate that. So Mr. Flowers is moving that the principal is able to make budget transfers or IMS transfers up to $5,000 with an aggregate of $25,000 between LSC meetings. So that means I have August and I have September until September 10th, which is our next LSC meeting, so that I can make the transfers needed for the start of school. And we can revisit this September 10th with more research, is what I hear you saying. Okay. I second that.
Is it the
It's September 13th. September 13th is the actual LSC meeting. I second Mr. Flowers' motion.
All right, the motion's been made and properly second. Any discussion regarding this motion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion, vote by raising your hand or saying aye if you're virtual. Any noes?
No.
Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes.
So Joyce was a no.
Yeah.
George was a no.
Okay.
All right.
The next one is just issuing checks and purchase orders. I don't think I need that. I'm not gonna. Strike that. I'm not gonna make that motion. I don't need that.
You already got it.
But I don't have to make the motion.
I know, but I'm saying that is.
Oh yeah. So it's a mute
encompassed.
point. Yes, mute point.
Moot point. But yeah.
Moot, whatever.
Approval of the birthday marquee.
Yes. So some families know about the marquee birthday message. Some families don't. And so at our back to school event, I wanted to announce it with the procedure so that families don't fall behind the gun in getting those birthday announcements up. Just because Ms. Gilliam is not here with us anymore. So she was able to kind of insulate and make sure that that happened. So Ms. Jackson, who's going to be helping with managing our website, is being trained on that. So we have a person, but I just want to make it manageable for her. Ms. Not second grade teacher. Miss Suggs got married, so she's Miss Jackson.
Oh, it's not Miss Jackson, it's just Miss Jackson.
It's just Miss Jackson.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So I would just like to, I would move that we approve the marquee birthday message fundraiser that we have done historically, but just renewing it for this upcoming school year.
Second.
All right, motion been made and properly second. How much is it going to be?
The same amount. I'm about to look that up right now so I can tell you.
And this is going to be an ongoing fundraiser.
That's my goal, yeah.
It would have to be because not everybody's birthday is.
Technically, that's supposed to, it's supposed to be. When you look at the sheet, you'll see. But I mean,
But I mean, if we put the start date, birthday of school, and
Yeah.
and the school.
yeah, I guess, yeah, that. And how much money we anticipate.
Just do every student times the right for their birthday. That's how many we anticipate.
Or probably
That's what
like
you
50,
anticipate.
probably like 30-40%.
But it
of that,
doesn't.
yeah.
But what does it matter whether you anticipate
Right,
to
right.
get $50,000 or $200,000?
Give me 1 second. I can tell you how much it is. The marquee fundraiser is it? I don't even see it. Let me see fundraiser. It's $30.
For one day of a message.
Yes.
I was thinking it should be more, 50.
And what do we plan to use this money for?
Special events to offset the cost for special events.
So it's going to go in that pot with all the rest of the school fees.
No, it's going to go into account that says special events.
Support our PBIS initiatives this year.
It will support our PBIS initiatives,
What is PBIS?
positive behavior
incentive
interventions.
systems and rewards.
Participation.
All right. Any,
No, it's all around behavior.
any more discussion? All right, there being none, all those in favor of the marquee fundraiser, vote by raising your hand or saying aye if you're remote.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that passes. Next, we're going to talk about the discussion. As you all know, Raynanda resigned, so we have a vacant parent seat available. And I think some of us have talked to a couple of parents or here and there. I think Ms. Spicer talked with a parent. So does anybody have anyone that's interested or that they think may be a good fit for the parent position?
I had a question.
Mhm.
Since we had our vote, can we offer it to today, like the next one?
You could, you don't
And
have
still
to.
be
It's
nominated
it's
and
totally it's totally up to whatever, we
Okay.
want. So that's that's an option
Right.
as well. But did
I
anybody?
know some other, but I really would want to touch base. I didn't realize we were gonna do this, this way. So are you proposing that we make that selection today, or are you just throwing it out there that?
I think we can. If somebody wants to nominate somebody and move for that person, we can nominate them today and vote on it. So it just depends on what people want to do.
I would like to have an opportunity to have a conversation with the parent that I would like to nominate first. I don't want to just throw somebody's name out there, but I do know somebody that I think would be very interested. So I guess we need to just figure out how do we go about deciding how we're going to put the names in a hat and make that decision.
I don't know that it's a names in a hat. It's kind of like if somebody has somebody they want to nominate, then we can nominate them and vote on them. And if not, we can not do it. So you can certainly do that. If somebody has somebody they want to put out here today, they could do it today. We could vote yes or no, whatever it's not any process other than they have to be nominated and voted on by majority of the LSC. Yes, Mr. Spears.
just kind of going off of what Ms. Brown said, would it be the pleasure of this body to maybe throw those nominations out and invite those nominated persons to the next meeting so that we can discuss with them and put them on the agenda and then we can vote at the August meeting? Because I think that would satisfy Ms. Brown's, that would give the nominee a chance to talk to all of us and we can vote. I don't know how it works in the past. I've never done a fill a vacancy for a parent spot, but it would seem to me if you were to nominate somebody that I don't know if I would want to vote for them today because I haven't met them. I mean, I probably have, it's me, but the body hasn't met them,
Right. That's kind of what I'm suggesting.
So then we probably need a motion so that we can decide on what we want
You don't need
to
a
do.
vote.
Okay.
Well,
I have a nomination. Last meeting, we discussed that at this meeting, names will be able to be put forward. If you had someone that you thought would be a parent interested in filling the vacancy, that you should talk to them, and that we will put those names forward. If we're not going to do that, but that's what we talked about.
No, I'm saying we should put the names forward.
But I'm saying that was part of the reason that two of the reasons that we had this special meeting or that we
Gotcha.
came in for this meeting were for this purpose and for the budget transfer.
I hear
That's the reason we called a special meeting.
Gotcha.
Because all we really were required to do was have an organizational meeting, not to have. So my point is that if we're going to be here and one taking away time from the other things that we should do what we say we're going to do, and not because we had a month,
Agreed.
we had a process. This is what we said we were going to do. And if somebody didn't adhere to that or wasn't at the last meeting, it was in the minutes, it was communicated, and so be it.
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't communicated with me, and I have not seen the minutes from the last meeting. I was away on business before the last meeting, so I was not privy to this information.
And you're more than welcome to vote no for my recommendation.
Well, no, I don't think it's fair that there's even a recommendation on the floor. If you're saying that the process was thrown out there, but if everybody wasn't aware,
Well, that's the
it's
process.
not fair, in my opinion.
We didn't make up the
You know,
process.
but the minutes are there, Joyce, just so you know.
Right.
Right now, they uploaded the minutes.
Right, the meeting minutes were uploaded. And so if you didn't review the meeting minutes before the meeting, that's not my.
When was it? I did not find the minutes, unfortunately. When were they uploaded?
Hold on, I'm gonna look. I'm into the folder now. So the minutes from this was the June meeting, right? The June meeting minutes were uploaded July 6th.
Okay, so last week.
All right. So we've had the discussion. Are there any nominations?
Is there any reason why we could not wait until the next meeting? I mean, if you have a good candidate that's interested, we may all be interested, but, is there any reason why,
Well, I don't know. I think that the thing is sort of like one person is following the rules and going and, doing what we said we're going to do, and they don't want to delay. I don't know. I'm assuming one, and they just don't want to delay the process. But again, I think this doesn't mean you have to vote yay or nay. It's just.
I understand, but if I vote nay and that person still gets approved, that person's on. I mean, I'm kind of like Mr. Spears. I mean, why is there a reason why, since there's not going to be a formal voting process by the parents themselves who voted us all onto this LSC, and then, the LSC gets to a point, I would assume, there's probably more than one parent that, the LSC members may want to bring forth.
I agree. I agree with you, Ms. Brown. I agree with you, Ms. Brown, but Mr. Flowers really brought up a good point about this is what we said we were going to do at the last meeting. And so the expectation was that everybody brought their nominees to this meeting. That's why we're having this particular meeting. And so, if we're not going to do that, then there was only one purpose to have this meeting. This is the whole purpose of having this particular meeting today, is to get it done today from the last meeting, which is why we call this special meeting.
Hey, I wasn't there, so I mean, what can I say? I'm just saying. I'm just thinking about the overall process of the parent body in the process. So it's a democracy. I have every right to ask the question. So I've asked my question.
So do we have any nominations?
I would like to nominate Brandon Samuels, who is a parent of a second and fourth grader, a Bronzeville resident, someone that I've known for 8 years. And I discussed with him the responsibilities of being on the LSC. And he is committed to Bronzeville and being more involved in the education of not only his children here at Bronzeville, but all of our children.
Okay. Any more nominations? Well, I'd like to nominate Nicole Wheatley. Nicole Wheatley is a room parent. She's been involved in every aspect of just about every event. She's always there. She is a real asset to the school, and I think she would fit right in at Bronzeville Classical.
In the LSC?
Huh?
She's already here, but she fit in
Oh, yeah,
well
on the
at
LSC, yeah.
He
So
got me on mute, so I have to get him.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So then, and I don't have my notes in front of me, but I wanted to nominate the gentleman that ran for an LSC position. If I can.
Mr. Diaz?
Is it Mr. Diaz or Mr. Seaton?
Hold on. No, it wasn't Mr. Seaton.
Fernando
It's Mr.
Diaz.
yeah, it's my understanding, Mr.
Fernando
Diaz.
Diaz.
Yeah, my understanding that
We
they
asked
taught
him.
him, and according to Raynanda, she talked with him, and he just didn't have the bandwidth to do it. He's gonna do some other stuff, but that was a person we talked with.
He's helping out with like a journalism club and like possibly like some other clubs like through Eagle Extras and our library program. So he may have declined for those reasons, but we did reach out to him.
That's who I had in mind that I wanted to speak with.
That's a excellent recommendation. I think Ms. Townsend considered him as well. So.
And even though you weren't here last meeting, we discussed that at the meeting, and she told us at that point that he was not interested.
Thank you for sharing your nomination.
Any more nominations? All right, so we have 2 nominations. What's his name?
Brandon Samuels.
We have Brandon Samuels and Nicole Wheatley.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll take the vote. All those in favor of Mr. Samuels, raise your hand or vote by saying aye on the remote. So it looks like we have
Wait,
one.
Go back in discussion. It's okay.
It's just for this year, right?
It's just
Then
1
we
year.
have to read.
We
We
have
all have to run.
2024 is a new election, except for you and Mr. Spears
Oh,
and Mr. Lewis.
is there permits?
I don't know. I'm
Right.
just putting that out there.
All right, so it looked like we had one vote for Mr. Samuel here. Any at home? All right. The next is Nicole Wheatley. All those in favor of Ms. Wheatley, raise your hand. And those at home, we got Joyce, Ms. Barclay, 3 and 4.
That's 4 for Miss Wheatley, 1 for Mr.
No,
Samuels.
2, 4. No, 5. Is Dwayne still on?
No, I don't see you, Dwayne.
So we have 5. And what? Any abstentions? How you just voted?
She did.
Oh, okay. Any opposed? Well, that's no. So it looks like we have the question though. We got more
I think it's a simple majority. I don't think
Of
it's
the
a super
majority.
majority.
Yes.
We have 7.
Yeah, we have 7 with Joyce. Joyce.
Pope, Barton, Lewis, Barron. We missing 4.
Are you saying we don't have a quorum now?
No, majority.
We have
No.
7.
I'm just,
What is quorum?
The current quorum,
Oh, yes, you have to have the majority of the current quorum.
how many are currently?
Was it a simple majority or is it a super majority? I don't know what the rule is.
and that's what I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with the goal. I just want to make sure that
We have a-
supported that it was done right.
I'm not following what the query is. Right now we have 7 people, right?
Yes, and so he's wondering, is it a super majority of the quorum present, or is it a simple majority for the motion to pass for the nomination?
Out of
That's the
how many
question.
people? Because we have
Yeah, I got you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
We should
11.
just need half plus 1, shouldn't we?
And we don't have that. Wait, do we have? Yeah, we have
Yeah,
that.
we do. We do.
Well, 3.5 plus 1 is 4.5. So I don't know how you count that. Is that
What?
4 or is that 5? Because half of 7 is 3.5 plus 1 is 4.5. So
No,
is
but
that
it's
4 or is
4.
that 5?
It's not half as in like 3.5. It's 4.
So then half plus 1 would be 5.
No, 4.
Half plus 1 would be no, because half is
Oh, you're saying 7.
yes.
Half plus
So
7.
2 because there's only 7. Because they're not 8. There's not an extra person.
No,
right?
it's no.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I
Yeah.
thought we had 7. We had 5, 1, and Spicer abstained. That gets us
We're
7,
good.
So we
right?
need 11. We have 11 people that should be able to vote.
Mm-hmm.
We have, which would be
Am I
5.5,
supposed to
which
vote?
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
you abstained.
I did.
That was your vote.
It is.
right, we would have 11 people that would be able to cast a vote if everybody was here, which would be 5.5, which would round up to 6.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2, 4, 6 in the room and
One
one on
bird.
the call, so we have 7. So
Mhm.
we have a majority available. So we have a quorum.
Okay.
So I just wanted to make sure, because before we were talking about when we first got here, we didn't have enough people. We needed to get them. So I wanted to make sure the numbers were right.
Okay.
But no, we good.
Okay.
So we had 6 for Ms. Wheatley.
No,
we
we're
got
at 4.
4 for Miss Wheatley.
4
2
for Miss Wheatley.
abstentions.
2
Two
abstentions.
abstentions, got it.
And then 1 no. I mean 1 for Brandon. So that's 7.
Right.
I ain't following y'all. I don't know how y'all came up with
Miss
this.
Wheatley is the new parent representative for the
whatever, say
So we
LNC.
had 4 yeses.
4 yeses.
2 abstained.
1 for Brandon. So it's not a yes or a no. So 4 for Miss Wheatley, 1 for Brandon, 2 abstentions.
Oh, no, you have 2 abstentions.
So you
Yes.
still
Okay.
need a.
I think you need another
You
vote.
That's
still
what I
need
thought.
so it doesn't pass.
Because we
you still-
didn't
because
technically
2
vote.
people abstain, you still don't have a majority, even though 4 is in the majority of 4 people.
No, and an abstention is still a vote, and basically.
But
That's
it's
still
not
a
a
vote. That
but it's
still
not a
counts.
vote in the affirmative. So that
It's
means
not
that-
a vote in affirmative. So that's what he's saying. It's not, he's saying that we don't have enough yes or no's.
It doesn't have to be an affirmative, it's a vote.
No,
An
that,
absent vote typically is a no vote, but I mean, it's still a vote.
no, but we're saying there isn't enough yes votes to pass
for Miss Wheatley.
for Miss Wheatley.
She has to have 5.
Yeah.
She has to have 5 votes in order for it to, in order for it to be a majority. That's what he's saying. No, neither parent candidate has a majority. So what it sounds like what's going to happen is what the parliamentarian is going to speak. Let me be quiet. I got to get downtown. Y'all got to.
You motion for Nicole.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Rescind it. All right, I'm going to rescind my motion for Nicole Wheatley to become the LSC member.
But I don't think that. Wait, I don't. Oh,
Hold on.
I don't think that was the motion, though. I thought the
All right,
motion
go
was just the. I thought the motion was
We
to vote.
voted on that.
Oh yeah, we did
I thought
vote.
I thought we voted to.
Yeah.
I just thought we did the nominations. I don't think the motion explicitly was for Nicole to be the parent rep. It was to vote on the reps,
The
which is
nomination.
why it was like.
My motion was to nominate Brandon Samuel, and then Steve made a motion, so that's what I'm saying. Rescind.
Can we rescind it even though we already voted?
You haven't.
No, you can't rescind once you voted.
Okay, so we don't have a majority. So then neither one.
So then we don't have a. So we don't have a. Yeah. So we don't have a new parent representative.
But can we redo? We can.
I put them.
The motion failed. Let me write. You got that, Ms. Lewis? The motion failed. So the first motion failed. Okay.
I move that we open or call for nominations for parent.
Second.
Well, no, not a motion. Just call for, as a chair, call for nominations for the parent.
Okay. And I'm going to recall for nominations for parent reps.
I'll nominate Nicole Wheatley.
Okay. Yeah, Nicole Wheatley. All right. Motion is made and second for Nicole Wheatley. Any other nominations? There being no other nominations, is there any discussion regarding the nomination? There being no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of Ms. Wheatley becoming the parent representative, vote by raising your hand or saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? One,
Yes.
two, any opposed? You raise your hand on the first one.
I don't want to choose I don't want to choose between the parents.
Okay.
So I want to abstain. Yes.
All right. So we have 2, 4, 5 out of 7, 5 in favor and 2 abstentions.
So the motion passes.
So the motion passes. Ms. Wheatley will become our new parent representative. All
I
right, great.
couldn't see you guys. Who was the second extension?
Miss Lewis.
Okay.
All right. Next, we'll go, I think, into the listening box. Any questions or?
Will parents get an email of student fees?
Yes.
What if the fee was decreased, perhaps more participation?
Thank you.
Any more? All right. Any in the public?
No.
All right. None here. There being no more comments or questions, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion been made and properly second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of adjourning, vote by saying aye, raising your hand. Any abstentions? Any noes? See you guys next month. Thank you.